Hey guys, it's day 252, and this week I made a lot of progress on my Wix and Shopify development for pushing my job board app through their marketplace review process. Also, it is definitely time for an emotional check-in, so let's get right to it. So on one of the days this week, the world all of a sudden came crashing down for me. It's something I've gotten familiar with over the years of doing startups. Every once in a while, totally out of your control, you're hit with feelings of defeat and hopelessness. Comes out of total left field, and you're just sort of left to deal with those unwanted emotions. I looked back at my journey around day 203. If you check out my video, I think it's called Rough Patch. I saw it happen then too. It's a pattern, and it's something I've learned to expect, but in my early days of doing startups, I did not know this. And it made those feelings last so much longer and spiral on themselves. Now I know when this happens to me, my day is just done. That's just it. It's not my choice, but it's over. Put the laptop away, and it's time to distract and just let those emotions process themselves. And because of that approach, nowadays, these feelings usually pretty much leave as quickly as they come. I take a bad day or two, and then I usually feel rejuvenated and actually kind of freshly inspired. So I think some of the things to remember are this: if you're not making progress, that's okay. Confront that and do some checks to see if you're really on the right track or if you might need to change trajectories. Or maybe you just need to keep going into the darkness and wait until you hit another actionable piece of feedback. You need reactions to create a clear path and to know you're going forward in the right place. Sometimes you just have to kind of keep going until you hit something that gives you that feedback of, oh, I need to turn left, I need to turn right. The process of finding customers with a problem that you can solve and is valuable and unique enough that they're going to pay for it is simply a hard, unknowable journey. Sometimes it happens really quickly, and sometimes it just takes forever. Just keep swimming, stay honest with yourself, and you'll get there. I've talked about my wife's business a couple times. She runs a blanket business called Cheeky Little Goat. She started it last year, and she's mainly been wholesaling her products to retailers. We've always said that retail sales would be a huge milestone. This weekend, she went to one of her first markets as a vendor, and she absolutely crushed it. It was a 2-day thing, and on the first night when she came back, she had tons of sales. She came home exhausted but feeling amazing. She was shocked that she actually was running out of stock. So she had about 12 blankets that were at like 60-70% completion. I pulled a late night and finished those for her. It felt really good to take a startup detour and build something that I knew was going to result in customer purchases. So that was one of the things that kind of helped me through that little tough spot, was just participating in another business that was doing well. Another thing this week that was kind of interesting is I took a call with the chief of staff for Product Hunt to do a customer feedback call with them. First of all, it was a good platform for me to talk about some of the issues I've faced with Product Hunt. And if you look back at some of my videos around the July 26th mark of this year, when I did a launch for Snaptro, you'll see some of the problems that I've been frustrated with as a bootstrap maker. For instance, when you come up with a product and then Apple releases a product that same day and you're competing with the new MacBook Pro, you're just not going to get noticed, right? So that's one of my issues, but there are other ones in there. Also good to hear what they have in the future works as I'm planning new product launches and deciding how best to use Product Hunt. And it's also always really good to be on the other side of these calls. So I've been doing customer validation calls in my work. Being on the other end of that and seeing how somebody does that process themselves and learning about how they're doing customer validation and feedback was really useful to me. So let's talk about the Shopify marketplace review process that I'm on right now for my job board product. Shopify's review, we passed the automated review last week and went on to the human review. And this week I got the round 2 rejection. And again, I don't like this language that they use about your app being rejected. It's not really a rejection. It's a non-approval. It's an iterative process. When you have so many subjective rules and building apps is just so complicated, it's impossible to be a mind reader about what they're going to approve and what they're going to ding you on. And also there are misalignments between their own generated code that you can use and their expectations for passing the review. You simply can't get it right the first time. I'm trying not to take it hard, and you shouldn't either if you're in the same kind of boat as me. To put a detailed example on this, in production, their generated code that you can use to build your app does not expect test payment transactions to come through, yet their reviewer was sending those in. It caused an infinite loop of redirection to the payment page and checkout page. I got dinged on that, but that's their code. So that's just an example. So the biggest thing that came back really was the name. They didn't like, I just called it job board. It was like a feature name. They wanted it to be more of a product name. I wasn't sure when I did submit that if that was going to be a problem, so now I know. So this meant brainstorming more, and I really didn't want to come up with a product name. I really wanted to just test and validate this to see if I'm in the right ballpark. They kind of forced my hand on that, and I had to come up with the product name. I got my brainstorming out. I wanted to think of words that reflected hiring immediately, and also the fact that it plugs into your website. So I was trying to think of words about that. A good exercise to do this is to just start writing words, just words that mean something to you, and then iterate on those words. So I wrote down plug, clip, snap, fasten, attach, link, connect, inject, boost, empower. And I kind of went over that and thought about, try to get out of the box a little bit. I thought about the Game Genie for Sega Genesis that I had when I was a kid and how you plug it onto a game. And I was like, job box, inbox, job inbox. Then I'm trying to put these words together. So I was thinking like snap hire, snap board. Those were actually both taken. And then I found my way to drop board. And I was like, boom. There it is, drop board. You drop in a job board onto your website. So actually love this name. Pretty happy that I came through with something really positive. So now I had to rework all the logos and all the screenshots and all the videos to use the new name. I also needed to generate a new logo. So that was a big piece of it. And then I addressed all their other rejections except for one I have left. So I've got a question out to them because it's really confusing and I kind of need their assistance. So I'm waiting on that, and that will be the last thing I have to check off before resubmitting the app. And I feel pretty confident now I'm going to pass. So hopefully that'll happen this week. So this is the rejection email I got from Shopify. You can see some of the required changes that I've had to make here. They did a really good job of including screenshots so that I could see exactly what they're talking about and make my fixes. So regarding the name change and the logo change, this is kind of the process I've taken on this. This was my very first logo idea, and then it found out that looked really bad in small settings. So moving that a little bit, thought about job board and how to make that look right. And I thought about these tiles being different boards, almost like job boards. And that iterated to eventually saying job board for Shopify, and they didn't like that name. I came back with drop board and needed to change the J to something different. I really love this design. I think it shows like that board concept, and also this little Easter egg on the bottom right, this sort of faded color. I have this in my head as like the apply panel that shows up on the bottom right of anybody's page when you do submit a resume. So that was the process I made there, and I had to update all these screenshots with the new logo and the new name. And so that led me to this version of the page, updated it slightly and tweaked it for basically all this name change and all that stuff. And while I was in there, I updated my app to include a video tutorial for first-time users, and I had to remake those videos based on the new name, but everything's working really well now, and I'm one step away from submitting that back into the app review process. And then progress on Wix. So Wix is another marketplace I'm developing an app for, and by last week I had the functionality of editing your settings and showing the job board on their site. And this week I built out the user experience around creating and managing the jobs that you're listing. And I reworked the product to be a widget so that it can exist multiple times in one page in different areas. And I coded up all the pricing and payment piece for Wix's payment system. And I've yet to test that, but that's pretty much the last step that I'm on before I can submit for their first round of review. So here's my update on the Wix development. So I've got my job board here, and in the settings panel, I now can manage these jobs. So a pop-up opens here. And just like in the Shopify app, you can create your own jobs. And it looks like this. You can close that. As part of this too, the free trial management and pricing management has to be built into my settings. Let's check that out too. Haven't tested this yet, but this is integrated into Wix's purchasing flow. So that's pretty much it for this week. It was a really busy week, lots of different things going on. I'm excited about next week. I'm getting really close on both of these marketplaces for getting something out there, and then we're gonna start to actually see how these marketplaces perform in terms of getting customers to get some eyeballs in what I've built. Thank you guys so much. Please tell your friends about my journey. I'd love to get some more subscribers and support for this journey that is really tough, but I'm having an absolute great time, and I appreciate you all for being here with me. Thanks.